Let's move on, Colin. Let's take a very, very brief stroll, because that's all that it deserves time to be given, out west. Just a hair. The Big 12 is so average right now. It hurts, but it's so average right now. It was a big, as much as it's average, it was a big night for myself and Cyclone Nation. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see it, but I'm holding up one of, I want to say 7 Iowa State shirts. Look at how pretty those colors are. They just pop. That I was sent in the mail the other day. And a lot of you always try and figure out what team I root for. And like 30% of you think Georgia, and 28% of you think Auburn, and Tennessee, and Alabama. And the thing about it is, you don't have to guess. I'm sitting here, I'm holding up a t-shirt right now. Well, that's backwards. There it is. That's who I was pulling for yesterday, Iowa State. You don't have to guess. I'll tell you. Earpiece came out. So we in all caps, beat Oklahoma yesterday, 37-30. TCU over Texas, 33-31. I was just talking about the team talent composite rating. Let me go back to that for just a second. Do you understand how loaded Texas is from a roster standpoint? Oh boy, it's inexplicable. Texas is number 5 in America in the team talent composite rating right now. And they just lost their 6th out of 7 against Gary Patterson and TCU, who sit at 28 comparatively in that team talent composite rating. Just shockingly bad, consistently, considering how loaded their roster is. I ran a poll yesterday, which I don't normally do, but Twitter has the function, so I said, hey, why not? Now, this poll, probably not scientific, I'll grant you that, and it was right after Texas had lost, but I put a poll up. Pretend you're a Texas fan, or just pretend you're a neutral observer. Here's what the poll said. The poll was, all right, let's say I tell you get to run Texas for the next decade. I'm going to give you 2 options for who your head coach can be. And you get to choose whichever one you want right now, but the only caveat is, and the only condition that I put in there was, whoever you pick, you have to keep them for at least the next 6 years. Option number 1 is Tom Herman, current head coach of Texas. Option number 2 was Lane Kiffin. This was before Ole Miss won last night, by the way. What do you think the totals were there? The totals were 83% Mr. Kiffin, 17% Tom Herman. Over 4 out of 5 of you, and I got a lot of Texas followers, by the way. I think a lot of them went Kiffin. So 4 out of 5 of you said, give me Kiffin in Austin. Wow. So they win in miracle fashion 2 weeks ago in Texas Tech, and you figure, okay, that's the reprieve we need if we're Texas. So now we'll get it right, and we'll look back on that game, and that's where everything turned. Nope. Same comedy of errors, same litany of penalties, same miscues, same everything. They had double-digit penalties again in this game versus TCU. Situational awareness was beyond horrible. So you know what happened. I don't need to go down that road. Oklahoma, I wasn't nearly surprised at Oklahoma losing at Iowa State because we didn't even pick them to go to the Big 12 title game. There are obvious deficiencies on this Oklahoma team. So we don't even think they're one of the 2 best teams in the Big 12. We don't think they're ultimately going to make it to the Big 12 title game. First loss in Ames, Iowa to my Cyclones since 1960. Glaring holes in several spots on this team. I don't think they're done losing. Their quarterback, Spencer Rattler, has a rocket for an arm, and everything else about their offense is very green. Defensively, totally lacking of an identity. I had high hopes for Alex Grinch, and listen, maybe they still fulfill all that, but you could be the best coordinator in America right now. I just don't think they have the pieces in the cupboard. I think that's pretty obvious. So I told you, as a Sooner fan, if you're a Sooner fan last week, I said you got every reason to be irate because the sport is tilted in your favor. This is not the NFL. You shouldn't have 2- and 3-year rebuilding phases. You should dominate every year or be no more than 1 year away from dominating, and that's not where they are right now. Oh, ironically, these teams play each other this week. The Red River Shootout, as we still call it here, opens with Oklahoma as a 2.5-point favorite. If you want to be brave enough out there to gamble money on this game, I'm not going to be there with you. But if you do bet on this game, if you think you have an angle, all I want you to do is tell me what it is. Because anyone out there who thinks they have a discernible angle on how this thing plays out, more than what a coin would tell you, just a coin flip, I want you to send it to me. Because I don't think for the life of me there's any skill in betting this game. I have no idea what kind of angle you could have. With so many turnovers that are likely to happen, penalties, all sorts of garbage that happens in a football game but makes it very unpredictable, I don't know what kind of angle you could have. So Texas, Oklahoma Saturday, let's have at it. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State, just kind of cruising along, undefeated. Iowa State, undefeated in conference play.